Good afternoon. It's David Saline and Chris Scully from Drive. And today we have special guest with us, Gregg from Essential Auto Service. Now, Rich, you have a shop up in Waterloo, Ontario, which is just south of Toronto, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm about an hour west of Toronto.
Okay. So tell us about your shop, how you got into the business, and how things are going right now.
Well, I started the business in 1999. I just was a car fanatic and had no business sense whatsoever. So I just thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. I'd worked at dealerships, I'd worked at other independents, and thought, I wanted to go out and do it on my own. So that's how I started in '99, and then just kind of grew the business every year for 18 years, with just kind of treating people how I want to be treated, and just word of mouth. Basically, it was I'd hired an apprentice and then trained him, got him licensed, then hired another mechanic, and there was the three of us running for about 16 years, and then I hired another technician, and then 2 years later, I met Drive. Basically, actually, Drive had called me about 2 years, maybe 3 years in a row, trying to get me involved, and it was like, yeah, hang up, not interested, hang up. Basically, they didn't give up on me. They kept asking and asking, and the same person would call and say, hey, we've got an expo thing going on in Toronto. Come by and check us out. And I just thought, not interested. I just kept basically putting them off. And then finally, one year they said, they called me, and the timing was right. And I thought, you know what, I do need help. So I kind of hooked up with Drive, and things have been great since. Since then, I sold the business, or the building that I was in, and bought a new location, moved the shop, expanded the shop. So yeah, it's been fantastic, and Drive has certainly helped me along that voyage without a doubt. Business right now is busy. It's picking up again. We were definitely slowed down with COVID. I've got kind of, my clientele is kind of a very professional and clientele. And so once COVID hit, it was like 90% of my clientele was working from home, and they just weren't putting any mileage on their cars. So the need for kind of service really kind of diminished, because their cars were just in their garages. And, so we definitely had a bit of a slowdown last couple of years, but it's picking up now. And because we're up in the north, we really get hit with the seasonal tire swaps, which really drives a lot of business in spring and fall. So we're staying really busy with all that right now. It's good. Business is good. Like I say, today's Friday. The shop's really, really busy, and I'm not there. I'm working from home. So,
well, that's a big improvement.
Those things are great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, tell us a little bit about your COVID experience and how you navigated that, because I know that, first of all, Canada is a little bit different from the US in terms of how it was approached, as well as, you've got your own environment, your own situations up there that are likely different from any other shop. So tell us a little bit about that and how you navigated it.
Well, yeah, we were, obviously because we were deemed essential, we stayed open. I did right at the beginning. We had basically, it was down. I had one tech left. Everybody kind of vanished. One tech, one service advisor, and myself for the first few weeks until things kind of got sorted out. And then everyone came back as I put measures into place, so they felt kind of safe. And then we just kind of went along with that. And luckily, nobody in my team has ever caught COVID yet, except myself. So it was, I haven't had it spread through the shop. I haven't had to shut down or anything like that. So that was good. What I decided to do different is I really ramped up the marketing. Just even though demand was down, really started to work on a lot of branding, Facebook branding, Instagram, and just social media, really hitting it out there, producing little videos and things like that. And then also just keeping up with the Google AdWords, and just to kind of put a bigger net out there for anybody that was looking for auto service, that we were kind of coming up in their line of sight. So that's, you know, we were still profitable. We didn't lose money. Everybody stayed hired and everybody got paid. But you know, the profits were down a little bit. The profit margins were up because I managed to actually cut expenses, even though sales were down. Gross sales were down. I cut expenses, so profits were actually not really hurt too bad. So it was overall it was okay considering the car count was down dramatically.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. And you know, one of the things that you described, which personally I think is so smart, is that instead of doing what a lot of businesses did during that time, which is pull back on everything, including marketing, you actually kept your marketing in place and kept promoting in the face of that crisis.
Yeah, I realized early on that like I never ever did any marketing until I got connected with Drive. And then when I really started it, you know, I would kind of start it, stop it, start it, stop it. But then I realized once you get the ship moving, you can't stop it. You've got to keep the momentum going. You can turn up the heat, but you never want to stop it ever. So that's been you know, just a constant, you know, expense I budget into the business. And basically I spend quite a bit on it, you know, about 5% of sales. I keep pumping back into marketing, but it works. Like last year alone, just on new customers coming into the shop, our total sales were about 480,000 just on new customers through marketing, that first-time customers. So it's something that, you know, I track, and we're constantly hitting it hard because it does work.
Absolutely, that's great.
You know, I have a question for you, Rich, on this. When you started talking, you talked about marketing and branding. And branding is such a big topic out there. And in my viewpoint, I'll just kind of say what my viewpoint is, but I'd like your viewpoint on the branding. To me, branding is the culture of your business. It's how you treat your customers, what you do in your community, how your marketing pieces all line up together to sell that mission and that vision you have. You know, how your employees interact within the business and with the customers, and even out in public when they're not in the shop, because in a way they represent your business. So it's all part of your brand. So what do you see as branding for you?
Well, we do, that sort of thing as well, that kind of overall image, right? It's the whole encompassing. So, you know, all my marketing pieces look and kind of feel the same. They've got the same sort of color, texture, the vibe to it. And same with, my crew, they're all good guys. So they're, you know, they always act professional. You know, they keep the shop really clean. You know, customers have a certain expectation, right? We have a nice waiting room, really nice clean shop. So that's all part of it as well. But the external branding that, you know, new customers see, just kind of pictures of the shop, video clips, things like that. They all have a certain feel to them, like a very welcoming feel, very clean, very organized. We're an auto vitals shop, so you know, we get a ton of positive feedback using auto vitals with the digital inspections, the full digital reports. You know, basically handling the customer before they arrive to handling them, you know, once they've left, and the exit scheduling. So all that stuff creates a certain feel for the shop that is really, you know, people comment on in social media. Like people in Facebook will, you know, send messages or comment or share, and it kind of spreads, right? So we get people calling just because we're kind of the only one around in my area that really does the digital inspections, the digital workflow and all that stuff. So again, it's kind of that gives you an edge over everybody else's. And when you show that, it looks good and it has a good feel for it.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, where you talk about digital vehicle inspections that you're using through Auto Vitals and your shop management systems, and how you communicate with the customers. And you're talking like it spreads, like you said, it spreads out on social media. So really, in your area, you became something that's known for something. People are passing it on, or when they say essential auto service, oh yeah, they're the people that do this and this and this. So that's all part of your brand and how you're recognized in your area.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gained I've gained customers just because they've been in a board meeting and I've sent an inspection report to an existing customer in a meeting who's been able to quick view it and respond while in a meeting to go ahead with work. And he showed his colleagues, and they've been impressed, and we've picked up several customers that way, just by word of mouth of other people seeing the inspection reports and seeing kind of that digital, the digital workflow. Like it takes away that mystery that people feel that they're going to get ripped off,
Right.
because they can see what we're seeing. So there's no hidden message, there's no hidden agenda, right? It's very transparent.
That's great, and that's a key part of branding in and of itself. Another question, shifting gears slightly. I hear you're going for Master of Shop Management.
I am. Yeah, that's kind of been my goal since I started with Drive, to get the shop operational.
Mhm.
And this year is become operational. So I kind of moved one of my service advisors, who's been with me for about 21 years now. I moved him, I hired him as an apprentice and trained him as a technician. Then he became a service writer for the last 4 or 5 years. And now I've been training him to do the management duties. So this year I kind of moved him into manager, and I've taken a step back. So, I go into the shop just when I have to kind of fill in for one of my front end guys if they're off. But other than that, I kind of stay away. And actually, when I go into the shop, especially if it's really busy and start poking around, I'm told to leave. So it's it's good that I've been able to get it to that kind of level. Has been my goal. So yeah, I'm trying to finish up. Jim Saley's coming down in June for shop inspection, and we're just finishing up a few little pieces to get in place before he arrives. But yeah, everything else is looking good. So I should be ready to get that, and hopefully I get it, because we're coming to the August Expo in Florida, and I'm bringing my whole family. So hopefully I get it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And now let me ask you, what does operational mean for you personally? What is achieving that with your business? What does that mean for you personally?
It means basically having a business that's successful, that not only financially, but it has a good standing in the community, and having a good crew, good employees that back you and work. They do their job, and you're profitable, and you can step away from the business, and you don't have to worry. I talk to my manager. I don't talk to him every day, but I talk to him a couple times a week. How's things going? Where are the numbers at? He does the numbers on Monday morning, and gives me a call. We could kind of have a quick 5-minute huddle, go over things, and I listen to what his plan is for the coming week, and that's kind of that. So it's a wonderful position to be in, I only had a problem kind of stepping away for the first kind of 3 weeks, but then once my stress level came down, it's been great. I really enjoy it.
So I have a question that goes up with that. So you said you met Drive several years ago, decided you needed help. At that point in time, could you see yourself where you're at right now? Could you see it where I can step away for 3 weeks, or I can step away from the shop? I don't have to be there. At that point in time, could you see yourself there?
That's exactly why I kind of joined Drive, because I was profitable on my own, but I was still a technician, still getting dirty every day. And I was trying to, I was cutting myself too thin. I was doing that. I was answering the phone, doing the quotes, doing all the QCing, it was just too much, right? And that was my goal, because every time I went away on holiday, I was always super stressed out, because suddenly now I was taking one of my other techs and adding my job to his job. And it was always very, very stressful, right? So that's really what sold me when Drive called me and said, this is we kind of had a quick talk on the phone, and they said, what to find out what level I'm in, they kind of said, well, you're in stage 2 and, you need to get to stage 4 or 5, right? Like, this is where you want to go. And I thought, well, there's just no way. Like, I just don't know how to get there. It seems like an impossible journey to me. And they said, we'll get you there. And basically, I was so convinced that they had done this hundreds of times before that I was going to be successful at it. And it, it has been. And honestly, I would have, two things. I would have been here. I would have been operational sooner if I hadn't pushed back so hard in the beginning. Like, you guys are crazy. There's no way I can afford to do this. And I pushed back with my consultant quite a bit in the beginning. And I also wish I'd found Drive, 10 years earlier. Would have been ideal. But here I am today, and I'm really happy with everything.
So you have all this time on your hands now. What are you doing with the time?
Well, you can probably see in the background, I'm a day trader. So I trade, it's a huge hobby of mine. And I love trading. So yeah, it's something I don't get bored of. And I've always followed the financial markets. And yeah, I do a lot of trading, day trading and cryptos and other assets. So that's what I do with my spare time. And I also love traveling and camping. So I get a lot more time to do that stuff.
That's great. That sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice. And then I have another question for you, Greg. Now, you said if you didn't push back with your consultant, you would have been there a little sooner. And we hear this, Chris and I know, because we hear this all the time from different shop owners all the time. But I would like to capture part of the piece that, our consultants, I know, don't give up, but they keep working with you. Could you elaborate a little bit more? You're pushing back, consultants pushing you to do something, and then they kind of walk you through it step by step and finally get you to make some of those changes. When's that aha moment was saying, I shouldn't have been pushing back? Because you see it now, but there's some point during that time you're saying, oh, if I wouldn't have done this, I would have been a lot faster.
Yeah, and the biggest aha moment for me that I was pushing back on was having full-time service writer. I just thought, how can I have somebody sitting here that's not producing anything, and I'm paying this person full-time? And I pushed and pushed and pushed and just said, you're gonna push me into bankruptcy. There's no way I can afford this. And once I finally got a good writer, I couldn't believe how my sales jumped. And I'm like, oh, I want another service writer. I want 2 service writers, and that was the big thing for me. I couldn't believe it. Once I was able to get that help on the front end, that was dramatic. I didn't realize how thin I'd cut myself and how it was actually holding back the business because I was spending, there was phone calls being missed. There was too many balls in the air to juggle. And could not do it all on my own. And things were constantly being missed that I really wasn't even aware of until I had a good service writer that could really multitask many things. And suddenly things weren't getting missed. And the revenue really started to go up. That was the big moment for me.
It's a great point, because I had the same thing when I did the program years ago with my shops. Service writer was the big one. And I hear this so often on here. It's funny that you brought that up. But I just want to make one quick comment. That's for all the shops out there that are thinking, I don't know if I can afford to have a service advisor, or I'm not ready to hire a service advisor or anything. Look, this is the point you need to do it. It helps your business. It helps you get things organized, and it frees your time up as the owner. Mm-hmm. And all I can say is those that say I can't afford a service advisor, you cannot afford not to have a service advisor in your shop right now.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It is the most important thing. It is really unbelievable how the revenue jumped and how my stress levels started to go down, and I was able to expand out other things. That's when I was able to start focusing on marketing and start looking at recruitment and just really work on the business, because I wasn't completely stuck in the front, answering the phones, pricing jobs, selling the work. I had somebody else taking care of that. And in the beginning, once they were doing that, I was still working on cars. Then I realized, you know what, maybe I shouldn't even be working on cars. And then when I stopped working on the cars and started helping the service advisor, it just started to grow and grow. That was really the key, the turning point for me.
Okay.
And I haven't touched a wrench since. It's once I realized, wow, I'm way better off, dealing with the customers, dealing with the marketing, and doing all this stuff, but out fixing cars and without answering the phone all the time. Everything, my stress level went down, and the revenue went way up.
That's great.
Okay. Then I have one other question for you on something. I know you're coming to the expo down in Orlando. Is this your first expo, or have you been to the expos before?
Oh, I've been to several. Yeah.
Okay. Can you share with our audience out here, because there's, it's been a little while since we've been able to have them due to COVID and everything else, but share your viewpoint of what you get out of the expos and why you like to attend them.
The big things for me, I like meeting the other shop owners, talking to the really successful shop owners that, have already been awarded master shop owner. Got a lot of, hands-on advice, right, from a lot of great people all around the country. So that I really enjoy. And I really like the, just the schedule of classes. There's a whole bunch of, not too long, hour-long classes that you can sign up for that are all included. You don't have to pay extra for them. And that's just been great. And also flying out to, California is always a bonus. And I've been out to the one in Savannah. So it's always a fun time. There's, I've never regretted going. I've always gotten something out of it, whether just new contacts or, just some of the lessons. Like, it's been great.
Excellent. Oh, by the way, speaking of traveling, John Starkey's inviting you to come visit his shop in Hawaii next time you feel like traveling.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. I'll take you up on that. I like that.
So, so overall, like I said, we look forward to seeing you at the expo, Rich. We want to see you up there. I want to see you walk across the stage and we see that Masters. So I'm so excited for you on all the things you got going, your successes you got going with your business. Look forward to, getting some financial investing advice from you too. So
yeah,
yeah, right.
Sounds good.
So on that, we are coming up on our time here. We want to thank you for joining us today. Like I say, congratulations on all your success with your shop, everything you've achieved, and enjoy this time right now, because it's actually a great time to be as a shop owner, to have the shop running operational, and you can come and go as you can. Mm-hmm. And for all of our listeners out there, look, this is an example of what you need to strive for. This is why you started your business. You put a lot of hard work, dedication into it. Let's get the things you need put in place so you can enjoy this free time and enjoy what you want to do with and still have an operational business that runs without you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And one quick thing I'd ask is start earlier rather than later, because honestly, I'm 52 now, and I'm kind of looking forward to I'm looking forward to my semi-retirement here and kind of winding down. But if I'd found Drive much earlier, I would have, when I was really eager, I would probably have, 3 shops by now, and that was originally my goal. I just didn't really know how to get there. So start sooner rather than later, and Drive won't let you down.
Great. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. And remember that we have a big weekend up, so be sure to take care of all the mothers out there. Yeah. And everybody have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you, guys. Take care.